Americans break silence on the power of Black America. Mr. A, excuse me, Mr. TA. All right, man. So first off, how y'all doing today? How y'all doing on this Black Friday, the day after the day they celebrate the unaliving of colored people of this land? But neither here nor there. Let's get right on. Let's get right into this. Shout out to the Asian community. We rock with anybody that rocks with us, and we know all Asians do not rock with us, but there is a nice amount that do. So we rock with anybody that rocks with us over here. So let's get right into this.
When you become pro-Asian enough, you start listening to Black people and become pro-Black as well. I'm not talking about individual Asian advancement where you play pick-me to white people, cater to them, make yourself smaller for them, maybe marry one of them, and then move up in society that way. No, that's not what I'm talking about. When you're interested in the liberation of the Asian American collective and in Asians around the world freeing themselves, and specifically to Asian Americans because we are a relatively new ethnic group in America, you realize that Black Americans have been liberating themselves for as long as they have been here, for over 400 years. You look at the way that they ostracize the pick-me's in their community, the Candace Owens, you can see what happened with Onyeka, the Danish deception girl. Black people, and specifically Black women, did not let them off the hook. Candace Owens can no longer go to Black people for any kind of support or help because as a collective, they have disowned her. Why are Asians not doing more of that? Look at the way that Black people have created their own spaces, created their own communities throughout American history. Even when white people have gone and tried to destroy them, they have managed to create their own culture, their own language. They're protective of those spaces. They embrace their ethnic features and hair texture instead of just doing whatever Karen is doing. And this, I'm talking generally. I'm not saying that every Black American is like this. I'm saying that a lot of them are, and that
I'm glad you could dissociate because we do have. It seems like we have two groups of melanated American people. Right now, we have the so-called Candace Owens, and I want to say this about Candace Owens real fast. Everything she says isn't bad or isn't wrong, but her delivery and tone, and sometimes how she does demonize and just she listen, she goes overboard. That gets her disowned by a lot of the melanated people. But I'm glad that this Asian woman could see that there's two sets of melanated people.
the general sentiment that I get from that community is that they are proud to be who they are. So if you're Asian and you're thinking, I want to be able to wear my cheap to school, I don't like it when people gentrify my food after making fun of it my entire childhood. I don't like being fetishized, and I will not marry someone who does that to me. When you start thinking this way, you just look right on over to Black people, and they've already had those thoughts. They've already done the same thing. You just do it in your own Asian flavor. And this doesn't even get into the fact that our liberation is all tangled up in each other. Like all the minorities in the US and in the world, overthrowing white supremacy is like a collective effort. And Black people have been telling us this since we got here. I'm just hoping that if I say it, then maybe you will listen. When you become pro-Asian,
I'm mad at Asian Americans.
That is funny. See, it's crazy that they have to go through it first to understand. Like, oh, this is a collective. Oh, everybody's going through this problem. These Black people have been saying this for a while. I don't understand why we didn't listen to them. You didn't listen to them because the white supremacists told you, listen, you wanna mess with us. Those are the bad people. So treat them bad along with us, and then you'll be okay. But then you come to realize they'll never allow you the same type of influence or supremacy that they have. See, and then that gets us back to the point like, okay, so y'all aligned with the white supremacists, and with you doing that, you kind of putting us down at the same time. So, what would you do if you actually did become the supreme power, which I believe China will be in the future? So, we'll see what happens.
Because why are we so smart but so silent? What's with the silence? I suspect that if we opened our mouths, we would side with Black people and other brown people as the real American heroes. Yeah, we're brown, not white. But this would disrupt the white supremacy brainwash we're caught in. And deep down, we hate ourselves for siding with whiteness. We know they're wrong. Our silence is the sound of us hating ourselves.
This is beautiful. You know, these Asians are saying some pretty beautiful things here. I'm not gonna try and pause too much through this, but they're saying some things. Now we need to know if it's truly genuine, a wake up call, or is it just the fact that they understand that the white supremacists are not going to align with you in the way you believe. We'll see how this goes. Some of it seems genuine. Some of it may be cosplay or whatever.
But that's the Squid Game trap that they set for us, an Asian American matrix that messes with our reality. And it's all based on hating black people. You know, the ones we're all secretly trying to copy, even the white peoples. White supremacy isn't smart, but it's tricky like that. Do you like being tricked? I don't know any Asians who put up with that. We gotta decolonize ourselves and find Asian joy. Therein lies our voice.
You know what really stood out to me in those videos? It wasn't anger. It wasn't honesty. You have two Asian women openly saying that when you truly start thinking about liberation, identity, and self-respect as an Asian person in America, you naturally start to understand and respect what black Americans have been doing for centuries. They didn't say that black people are perfect. They didn't say that Asians are the problem. What they say is simple but powerful. If you are tired of being made to feel small, if you are tired of your culture being mocked, if you are tired of being pressured to fit into the whiteness, then look at how black Americans have fought and still fighting until today. And I think that is a very important starting point, not just for Asians, not for black people, but for all of us who come from communities that have been silenced, erased, and divided. So as we go into the rest of the video, I want us to listen, to break it down, and understand what's really being said here. I'm not here to take sides or attack anyone. I want us to listen, to break it down, and understand what's really being said here and why it matters.
Alright, I'll bite. Black and Asian solidarity isn't just something that I want, it's something that has lasted for generations. Now, I'm not going to deny that there have been instances of tension between the black and Asian community. There have been individuals in each of our communities that have caused harm onto one another. At the same time, and most importantly, by and large, both communities want to work together and build towards a better future. And let's take a look at history. The abolishment of the Chinese Exclusion Act was largely due to black civil rights leaders advocating for it, which led to the passing of the Hart-Celler Act in 1965. And there have been leaders such as Yuri Kochiyama and Grace Lee Boggs who have stood side by side with the black community fighting for the liberation of black people. And for years, the Japanese American leaders have used reparations given to Japanese Americans after Japanese internment as justification for why the black community should also receive reparations. So yeah,
Yes, if you do any research, the Japanese helped the Americans fight in a war, and then they received reparations. All right, another group of people that they helped the Americans, but they didn't build this land like the melanated people. But that's another group of people that received reparations. All right, while the melanated people did not.
like any community and people, we have differences, but there's a hell of a lot more love.
Why do they think they're white?
Okay, I wish I could stitch that video, but basically that person is asking that this person wants to know why so many Korean Americans try so hard to be white. Or in other words, why do so many Korean Americans try so desperately hard to be accepted by white people, and why do we think that we will benefit from white supremacy? And the answer is US imperialism. It's always US imperialism. Particularly migration pathways that were carved out by military occupation. So let me explain. When I was really young, my mom used to always tell me, oh, if you go to Korea, if you live in Korea, people there are gonna hate you. And I remember that confusing me so much as a kid because why? Why would they hate me without knowing me? And so I tried to, press her for an answer, and she would just say, oh, it's for no reason. They're just jealous that you get to live in the US. Flash forward, when I'm in school or college and I'm taking Asian American Studies courses, classes in critical race studies, and I'm like, oh, I get it now. A lot of us already know the US is not this benevolent country that takes care of its citizens, let alone immigrants, indigenous people, even its own veterans. And abroad, the US terrorizes the global South through.
Well, it seems like everybody knows what's going on, so what's the issue? right? Well, the thing is, I believe is, well, let's just let them continue. What's the problem?
Military occupation and other means, which included or includes Korea. You don't ever hear about or see people in Korea, Korean people in Korea, protesting U.S. occupation, but it's there. And there's still this dream or hope of both Koreas one day reuniting or being reunified. Very generally speaking, more recent Korean immigration into the U.S., or maybe I should say from the 1970s onwards, these are people who have the means to. They have the money, the capital, the resources, the social connections, and maybe even more importantly, they want to. They want to come and live here. So are the people who resent the U.S. for imposing themselves into the homeland, dividing the nation into two, and in the process separating families forever, are they going to want to uproot their lives to live in the country responsible for that pain and suffering and ultimately this loss of self-determination? Or are the people who sympathize with the U.S. and view the country as this welcoming, benevolent nation, as the saviors almost for coming into the war, are they going to be the ones to want to move and live here? The people that immigrated are probably people who sympathized with U.S. involvement in the war and who also subscribed to the idea of the American dream. And generally,
That's the thing. America is very good at pushing narratives and making themselves look a certain way. And they made themselves look as the number one country, and they worked through the dollar for sure, and military. But they, as far as economics and military is concerned, yes, it did become the number one. But they painted it as this great place for everybody, and it's not that. I mean, trust me, it's worse places in the world though. Right, it's slavery going on right now, but this isn't what they painted it as either. And you will get systematically destroyed here if you're not careful.
speaking, tended to be of the ruling class, and they get here, they either become disillusioned by it, the American dream, and start to question the ideas they've been told, or they hang on to it even tighter, and blame other groups of people, other groups of marginalized people, for not being able to self-actualize this dream. This is just coming from my experience, observations, things that I've learned as a Korean American who has family members on both ends of the political spectrum. But, and again, I'm simplifying things a lot, but I also think that this...
I've been seeing a lot more content about Black and Asian solidarity, so I wanted to share my story. Before I was embraced by Asian folks, I found a sense of belonging in the Black community first. It's where I learned about brotherhood and camaraderie, and also how to rap. And even now, as someone who's unapologetically Asian as fuck, my love and respect remains the same. Because honestly, if the Black community...
Yeah, it seems like you hang with melanated people, my Asian brother, for sure. It seems like you... don't apologize about it. We got swag, man. You all good, man.
in Atlanta didn't support me and encouraged me to rap when I was a teen, I probably wouldn't be an artist right now. By the way, these type of cultural exchanges have been happening way before me, and it's more common than you think. So don't let social media make you think we're all against each other.
Asian people in the US are so weird, liking white people more than their own people.
Think of it like this. When COVID hit, remember all the anti-Asian rhetoric that was going around America? Now imagine that energy stretched over a lifetime. Growing up, I'd hear that Asian men are not attractive, we only know how to do math, we can't drive, we have the funny accents, the slanty eyes. It's really hard, given all of that, to grow up as an Asian man in America and be proud of who you are. Now imagine coming home and the people in your house are Asian parents who don't express their emotions, who lay hands on you, who don't ever apologize, who make you feel less than for not wanting to be a doctor or engineer. Mine also called me stupid. Oh, you'll never get into this school, you'll never do this. Look at my friend.
Yeah, I heard Asian parents and melanated parents are very similar, like in different things though, but like they're kind of the same though. But I believe most Asian parents, I guess, they push the education more than the melanated people.
And son and what he's doing. And so when both your indoor and outdoor environments make you question your self-worth, of course you're going to try and be someone else. I think that's human nature. And in America, what group do you look towards? White people. They are the heroes in all the movies, they're on all the magazines. It is very easy to put them on a pedestal, which I did, admittedly. And my story isn't unique. Now these days, I am proud of who I am, and my heritage, and my facial structure. But it took a long time and a lot of personal growth and a lot of help from cultural phenomena like K-pop. There is so much more to say about this topic, like, for example, how a lot of Asian Americans don't feel connected to their extended families because they're not Asian enough, or how I in college saw up close white people with their close families and how that impacted me. But I want to keep it short. I hope this helps you and other Asians who didn't grow up in America understand us better.
So, unlike this platform, on Threads, you can kind of tell who I am, especially if you click on my profile picture, but it's not super obvious. And earlier today, I made a post, text only, saying in addition to being a first class athlete, Taylor Townsend is part of one of the most educated demographics in the United States. That other one is just a sore loser. And a commenter, a white guy, came back with Taylor Townsend is an Asian. So how about you run those statistics again with master's degrees and doctorate degrees? And you know I'm not going to stand for that. So I came back with as an Asian American. How about I run statistics for bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and doctorate degrees on your demographic? And his response was deleted so fast. But it's not the first time on Threads that a white commenter has started to argue with me in a way that makes it clear that they assume I'm black. And that's always a reminder to me how comfortable they are in the assumption that the only people who support black people are black people, and at how comfortably they reach for Asian American identity to weaponize against black Americans.
Yes, one day all groups will understand that you are the weapons used against us. Once y'all understand that they you know what? I think we get the point here. All right. Shout out to Mr. TA. Y'all go check out the rest of the video at his channel if y'all would like to. And once again, shout out everybody. Shout out to the Asians. Shout out China, Thailand, Japan, Philippines, Cambodia, all y'all places. But shout out to the YM the most. We out.